Okay, so we've already done most of 7.1. This is kind of a long lesson because there's two different types. We've already looked at the tax tables. Now we're looking at tax rate schedules. These are just different ways to calculate how much taxes you owe. This is more of an estimation where you'll probably be about right. If you want just a quick number, boom, there you go. But once you make above a certain amount, you kind of have to use these tables. These tables only go up to $100,000. Once you make over 100,000, you have to use this. Again, it gives you a more exact answer for how much taxes you would owe. Even if you make less than 100,000, but again, once you make more than 100,000, you have to use these tables to determine how much tax you're going to owe, because you're making a lot of money, and even an estimation could put you off by $1,000 or something in taxes. So you want to know exactly how much you should owe here. So let's go ahead and look at this and make sure we can kind of pick this apart. Maria and Don are married taxpayers filing a joint return. So again, this table is specifically married filing jointly. Their combined taxable income is $67,900. So again, when you file jointly, you add your incomes together. But keep in mind, just keep this in mind for everything, guys, that taxable income is less than your actual income. Everybody's taxable income is less than their actual income. So this is not actually how much money they made. This is just how much is going to be taxed. The IRS offers a tax schedule so that taxpayers can calculate their tax. Use the tax schedule, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's what we do. We're going to focus on their income. This is going to work similarly to the tax schedules. By starting in this column, these columns right here. This is how we're going to choose which row to use. So in the same way that you had to choose which row to use here, which column to use here, we need to figure out which row to use. So how we read this table is it bounces up and down. So it starts here by saying if your taxable income is over the number in this column, but not over the number in this column. That just means in between, right? It's over this over, but not over this number. Sorry, it's over this over. It's over this number, but not over this number. That means in between. So 67,900, we need to look this way. So row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, or 5, we're looking this way for what two numbers it's in between. So 67,900, see if you can tell, we have first row, second row, third row, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Which row are we going to be looking at because it's between those two numbers? Hopefully you saw it's the third row, right? 67,900 falls in between those two numbers. So that means is we are only going to use this line, and we're not going to use the rest. Yeah, we only use the line for where our income falls. So basically they've done some of the math for you. You just have to do a little bit more math. So here's the next step. We are going to write a sentence because again, we have to read this table as a sentence. If your income is over 65,100, but not over 131,450, the tax is this of the amount over this. Again, it bounces up and down. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to copy this as a sentence. You don't have to do this every time. Once you realize what you need to do, you don't have to copy the sentence every time. But I'm going to start there. It says, the tax is. Again, that's right there. Now I write what's in this column. 8,962.50 plus 25%. Now it bounces up to here, right? Because percents have to be of something, right? It just says 25%. You might be like, well, 25% of what? Well, there's the of, yeah? Of the amount over. And then I drop down to the number in that row, 65,100. So here's my sentence. I'm going to translate this into an equation to be solved. Now it does say, figure out their tax. Well, let's use our skills that we know. Let's start from the left and read and translate this into an equation to plug into our calculator. It says the tax is, well, hey, We know what is means, right? Is means equals. So we have the tax equals, right? I'm going to keep going. We've got 8,962.50. This is just a number, so it just drops down. Plus, now they already got us up to there, right? We need to change 25% to something. What is 25% going to become so I can plug it in my calculator? That's 0.25, right? 25 divided by 100 is 0.25. Let's keep going. What does of tell us to do? Multiply. Now, there's a reason here that I'm going to put this in parentheses. Instead of putting, this is multiplying, right? 0.25 up against a parentheses does mean to multiply. But the reason is I need 25% of the amount over 65,100. It does not say 25% of 65,100. So what we're going to have to do is we need to determine what is this, the amount over 65,100. Here's what it means. It means the amount of your income that is over 65,100. Well, here was their income, 67,900. Income, I'm just going to write down here, was 67,900. So we are looking for how much of this number is over 65,100. What do you think we should do? Here's 65,100. Here's 67,900. Yeah. I need to know how much is over. I need just this little chunk over the 65,100. What should we do? Hopefully you determine me to subtract, right? When I say the amount over, that means the difference between them, yeah? And that's subtraction. So I'm going to subtract these two, but guys, you have to be careful. If you guys do not put the bigger number first, you're going to get a negative answer and you will get it wrong. So be careful that here's our income. Here's the amount they give us. Notice it's a smaller number. You need to put the income first. So this is 25% of means to multiply. That's more for the parentheses. The amount over 65,100 is this, right? This is how much of your income is over this number. And hey, now we have something we can just plug straight in the calculator. So 8,962.50 plus 0.25 parentheses. Okay, so you should have gotten 9,662.5, which is 50. That's how much tax you should have paid throughout the year, right? We're going to try and drill that concept in as well. That's how much you should have already paid throughout the year by the time you go to file your taxes. So again, a couple things. You do not have to write this sentence every time. I will do it each time for the next two just so you can see it. But this is how these are always going to look coming off this table. We have this number they give us plus the percentage times this subtraction is going to happen every time. The income minus the number they give you in this column. So I know that was a lot, but once we have it, it goes a lot faster. So let's try it again on the next question. So it's the same thing. We just need to focus on their income. Our first step is to choose the line. So here's their income, 156,050. Again, we have line 1, row 2, whatever, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. Which row are we going to use for this income? What two numbers is $156,050 between? You should have picked row 4, right? 156 is in between those two numbers. Guys, be very careful then that you are copying the right row. You don't go like, oh, it's row 4, and then accidentally jump up to row 3. Yeah. So you should be using this row. So I want you to do it one more time, just like we did here where we wrote it as a sentence. I do want you to try that one more time just so you can understand how to read this table. So start here. We have the taxes. We start here, we drop down, we pop back up, we drop down. Try and write that as a sentence. Okay, once more, you don't have to do this every time, but while we're learning it, we want to be careful with it. It says the tax is 25550.00. That's not a big deal. Plus 28%. And then I pop back up here of the amount over. And then I drop down to here, 131,450. Okay, so keep in mind that their income is 156.50. So I'm going to write that to the side here just so we have it. Income 156.50. So let's start off by translating this into an equation. I'm going to go ahead and just put the equal sign. I want you to get as far as you can. It's going to look very similar to this. Again, this subtraction is going to happen. You just got to know what numbers to subtract. Try it and then come back and check. Okay, so I'm going 255, that's first, whatever this is. Be very careful that you're writing the correct numbers here. Then I have plus 28% becomes 0.28. Of means to multiply. So you probably got up to this point and then maybe we're a little uncertain in the parentheses. I know we just did it in the last question, but you still might be a little confused. So up to this point, this is this number plus 28% of. Again, these parentheses will always happen because of means to multiply, and this is 0.28 times. Now from here, we need the amount over 131,450. Now again, what you have to remember, this is what you have to remember, is it's referring to how much of your income is over 131,450. It doesn't say that, it just says the amount over. Well, the amount of what? The amount of your income that's over 131,450. So make sure I copy that, right? So here's the income. This needs to go first. The big number has to go first. Otherwise, you will end up with a negative and you will get the answer wrong. And then you're done. This right here tells us the amount of your income that is over 131,450. So take a moment, plug this whole thing in the calculator just as is. 156,050 minus 131,450. Make sure I got this all good before I hit enter so I don't make any mistakes. Yep, I made a mistake. Whew, that's close. Okay, so I get 32438. I hope that's correct. Should be. Your answer should really only be a bit more than this number. So pro tip here. It's your tax is this number plus something. So if your answer comes out to be less than this number, what you probably did is you accidentally switched these to get a negative. So just double check your answer. You should end up bigger than this because you're adding something else to it, yeah? Okay, you're gonna try it one more time completely on your own. You're gonna choose the row. You are going to write out the equation that you need and then plug it in the calculator and then we'll check. Okay, so 85,900, you should have used once more. That's the third row, right? 85,900 lies in between these two numbers. Be very careful with that. Okay, then I have right here, I have 8,962.50. I'm gonna go straight to the equation. So I'm not gonna write the sentence this time. Plus 0.25, that's 25%. Of the amount over is in parentheses. It's how much of your income is over that number. Those are the two you should have subtracted. Your income and then the number they give you. Okay, let me plug this in the calculator. 0.50 plus 0.25, parentheses, 85,900 minus 65,100. Again, guys, be careful. I made mistakes too. You've seen it, so that's why I have some grace for you guys because I make mistakes too. But just double check as much as possible. Mistakes will happen, but still double check that you're not plugging in anything wrong. That's what you should have gotten. Again, if you did not, look back over and see if you misplugged in any of the numbers. I accidentally, back on this question, that was a mistake I made. I accidentally put a multiply here instead of add, and then I saw that, went back and fixed it. I would have ended up with a huge number. So I know this is kind of complicated, but the more you do it, the more you can go straight here and be like, oh, that's it. So now go to your homework. You can give this a shot on your own. Be very careful. If you want me to check your answers on your homework before you click submit, let me know. You can send me a picture of all of the questions and I'll check them for you.